UFC 300 has officially been set, and in the opening fight on the main card on UFC 300, Bo Nickal is taking on Cody Brundage. In this video, we're going to talk about why I think Bo Nickal should not be the opening fight on the main card of UFC 300, why there are other fights that should easily take that spot, and really how I think this can ruin the hardcore fans on buying UFC 300. But before we get into this video, be sure to like, comment what you think about Bo Nickal and if he should be on the main card, and subscribe for more content like this. Now let's get into it. So the opening fight on UFC 300 on the main card is Bo Nickal taking on Cody Brundage. Now I first would like to say I have no hate towards Bo Nickal. I think he is a future champion. He's a promising prospect, has a great background, pretty big fan base, and the UFC has given him a big spotlight. But Bo Nickal does not deserve to be the opening fight on UFC 300 on the main card. We were all told about UFC 300. The main event's going to be insane. It's going to be something you never expected. And it still turned out to be good, but it's not what Dana White promised. But other than that, UFC 300 was supposed to mean crazy title fights, crazy #1 contenders, and just crazy fights in general that are happening. For example, Max Holloway taking on Justin Gaethje for the BMF belt. Crazy fight. #1 contender, Charles Oliveira taking on Arman Tsarukyan. Insane fight. Insane light heavyweight fight. Yuri Prochazka taking on Alexander Rakic. You have crazy fights. UFC 300 is built upon crazy fight. Now, when you look at the opening fight on the main card, you have Bo Nickal, who is a minus 1350 favorite, taking on a underdog, a huge underdog, a plus 800 underdog, Cody Brundage. Not only are the odds so lopsided, but it's an unranked fight on the opening fight on the main card of UFC 300. This is my problem. There are tons of great fights on UFC 300. Tons of fights. Yuri Prochazka taking on Alexander Rakic. Calvin Kattar taking on Aljamain Sterling. Holly Holm taking on Kayla Harrison. Jalen Turner taking on Renato Moicano. Bobby Green, Jim Miller. Deiveson Figueiredo taking on Cody Garbrandt. All of those fights I just said could have replaced Bo Nickal and Cody Brundage. Now, I get the UFC's mindset. We're going to give Bo Nickal a big spotlight. He's going to beat Cody Brundage in one round. He's going to call out someone. And maybe the UFC told Bo Nickal, hey, we're giving you the first fight on the main card, and I want you to call out Khamzat Chimaev if you beat Cody Brundage. And maybe that's what we're going to get. I doubt it. It's an unranked fight. Why would Khamzat take Bo Nickal unless he wanted an easy payday? But maybe that could happen. But the fact that Bo Nickal is even in the main card, taking on Cody Brundage, who's a plus 800 favorite. The fact that Bo Nickal is even on the main card, who's under Charles Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan, Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway, Zhang Wei Li, Yan Xiaonan, Alex Pereira, and Jamal Hill, is insane. My whole point in this video is to show that there are plenty of other stars that deserve that opening fight on the main card. And Bo Nickal, this promising prospect, is giving it. The fact that Bo Nickal and his last couple of fights have been such at a crazy odds, there is no real competition. Now, this would be different if Bo Nickal was fighting someone like a Andre Muniz or a Brendan Allen, where it's a compelling fight where the odds are a lot closer. But the fact that Bo Nickal is a minus 1350 favorite, this is going to be hard for hardcore fans to look at and be like, oh, I really want to buy this card. It's a great UFC pay-per-view. But to buy a pay-per-view and your opening fight is a minus 1350 favorite is kind of insane. And that's how Bo Nickal's fights have been. Bo Nickal, when he fought Val Woodburn, was a minus 2500 favorite. Before that, he was a minus 1800 favorite against Jamie Pickett. Now, I know Bo Nickal hasn't fought, the toughest opponents yet because they're trying to build him up, be a great prospect. But to put him on the opening fight on the main card, and he's a minus 1350 favorite is insane. He doesn't deserve it. I get you can still put Bo Nickal on the opening fight on UFC 300 on the prelims against Cody Brundage and still give him a big spotlight. Opening the card for UFC 300 is still insane. But to have him open up the main card, the first fight, is quite insane. And I think anybody who's rational or has some common sense could say this is insane. An unranked fight An unranked fight is above Yuri Prochazka and Alexander Rakic. An unranked fight is above Calvin Kattar and Aljamain Sterling. An unranked fight is above Jalen Turner and Renato Moicano. It's a little insane for the UFC. I get their idea. They're trying to push Bo Nickal. He's the next future champion, the next middleweight star, the next guy who's going to hold the title forever, and he has this crazy wrestling background from Penn and all these accolades. I get it, but he does not deserve to be the opening fight on the main card. And you're going to ruin the pay-per-view buys because hardcore fans are going to look at this and say, why would we waste money on when the opening fight is at such a disadvantage? No one has money on Cody Brundage winning. This is just a spotlight for Bo Nickal. And if Bo Nickal doesn't call out someone crazy like a Brendan Allen or Marvin Vettori or Khamzat Chimaev or Jared Cannonier, it's going to feel like a big disappointment. And I feel bad for all the hardcore MMA fans because myself, I like Bo Nickal, but him being under Charles Oliveira and Arman Tsarukyan just sounds a little insane on UFC 300. He should not be the opening fight. Those are my thoughts on Bo Nickal taking on Cody Brundage being the opening fight on the main card. I don't think it's right. It feels wrong. The fact that he's above former champion Yuri Prochazka, former champion Aljamain Sterling, who many think Aljamain Sterling is the bantamweight GOAT and he's above him on UFC 300. It just does not seem right. Let me know what your thoughts are, if you think Bo Nickal should be on the main card, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm delusional. Maybe Bo Nickal does deserve that spot, but I just don't think he does. I feel like this is way too high up for Bo Nickal at this stage in his career. Let me know your thoughts. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next video.